How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. Take a few days. Got out of town for July 4th weekend to a friend's beach house in Connecticut, where weather was much better than Miami. I saw the gloomy weather. I said, let me get out of here quickly. And so it was nice, and now I'm spending a few days in New York City.
Good stuff there. What did you think of Asante Samuel Sr.'s response? Because Junior is the guy I wanted out of all the guys that are available, because I think you can get a 2-year special out of his ass, and just in case he actually stays healthy, then you get yourself a little steal for that second year, like the Ogba and like Jonnu Smith would have been, and a couple of others that he's been able to pull off that way. But it doesn't look like that right now.
Yeah, no, not after hearing what Asante Samuel Sr. said on a podcast appearance. I'm sure you've already played that sound for your listeners there, so and run that down. So, pretty telling comments. So, what Asante Sr. feels about Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel. Um, I was on with you. I was hopeful it would be Asante Samuel Jr. I covered him when he was a high school kid at St. Thomas Aquinas, so thought that would be a cool homecoming. And not to mention, he's the youngest of those available cornerbacks. He had only just played out his rookie deal on those first 4 years, and yes, he has that neck issue, and you do need to check all the medicals on that, get all the information on that, because that could be very serious. We see what's happening with Eric Ezukanma with the Dolphins and him being unavailable for large chunks of time whenever something pops up with that neck. So yeah, there was that, but if that would have been all right, then you would have loved to see him be that signing for the Dolphins. They still need to bring in a corner, but one thing I will say is I'm not sure exactly how close um, him and his father are. I just know he was always kind of like shoving that question aside whenever, obviously, it's a natural question when he's coming up. Asante Samuel Jr., you're trying to follow in the footsteps of your father. He would always kind of like, not really feed into it. He was so I'm not sure how close they really are, and who knows
That,
what else
that,
could
al-
be.
that
Because
also could be that you want to distance yourself because he was a great player, and
yeah,
that you are your own player and your own person and your own all that kind of stuff. So that's also kind of the thing why they try to stay away from that too. Some of them, at least. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah. So I just to me, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you're not gonna see Asante Samuel Jr. here.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
I think
I,
that's probably a
I,
good bet right now.
Yeah, yeah. And if, by the way, you want to take that bet, I'll be at Hialeah Park on Thursday at 3 o'clock. So you can bring the money if you want, and I'll take the bet. Because there was one guy on Twitter. Oh, that doesn't mean he won't come here. And I go, well, bro, if you want, come on over. Come on over to Hialeah Park. I'll take that bet. I'll take my chances that Asante Samuel Jr. is not coming here anyway. So I don't know who's going to come here. I'm not excited for the options that are out there anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
It's not really like, see, in the end, no matter who you sign, I don't think that's going to make or break your season, to be quite honest. Let's just be honest about that.
Yeah, you'd have to get like a Pro Bowl caliber season out of this guy, and then the odds of that are pretty unlikely if he's not going in the first wave of free agency. Russell Douglas is that next guy. I would feel good about that move. Now, what if it were like with the cap space they do have, if it were a Russell Douglas and bringing back a Kendall Fuller as a second guy? Now all of a sudden, I mean, Fuller, he could get caught up easily. He's a guy that was already with the Dolphins last season, so remember Emmanuel Ogba, similar story last offseason where he got cut for financials, and you do have to check on that knee. Although I don't think it was a very serious knee injury that's required rehab. So if they were to bring in two now, maybe you're looking at it a little bit differently. Like it could be a difference maker because that's sort of that one big hole that's remaining for this roster. But aside from that, yeah, it's tough to really say. You're not going to look at it like there are wins being added to the season based on this move.
And by the way, they're not spending. Go look at the offseason. They're not out there. They're not going to get into bidding wars for people. They have proven that they spent their money on Daniels, and then they really have not gone out on a limb to go out there and spend money. I mean, the one guy that they should have spent some money for was Johnny Smith. The drop off from Jonnu Smith to whoever is enormous now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have just all you have now is question marks behind Jonnu Smith, where Jonnu Smith is an established player, a consistent player, and you didn't spend money there. I don't know if you're going out on a limb, and maybe that's why all these corners are also out there. Not only is no one is spending, neither is Miami.
Yeah, yeah. And you got to figure the Dolphins are part of that equation as well, where whoever signs with the Dolphins has a massive opportunity where you're essentially guaranteed a starting spot and probably cornerback one duties, and you're that guy for this team.
Yeah.
Now that Jalen Ramsey's out, Micah Fitzpatrick, you've got that help at safety now that's in there. So it's a huge opportunity for whoever does wants to join the Dolphins. So I would imagine if you're a free agent quarterback, that's the most desirable location. You come to Miami and you're going to be the top dog, whereas you're probably competing for a spot at some other locations.
I agree with that, and add a little caveat to it. If you're looking at the front seven, they should be able to pressure the quarterback, so that should make your life slightly easier. I'm just saying.
You don't have to hold on in coverage as long, and then you'll have some opportunities with the ball coming out quick to rack up some easier interceptions and maybe gamble a little bit on routes when the pressure is getting home. So, that would be a huge benefit.
So it looks like it's not going to happen till like right before training camp. I mean,
I guess because that's pretty much where we're at already. We're us at the Sun Center. We're already doing our countdown to camp series. So once we get counting down to camp, then we're already closing on the days. So whatever happens, it's already right up against the timeline here.
Have you gotten the contract particulars on Waller? Because I kind of on the Drew Rosenhaus segment, which I don't know how his nose wasn't growing when he was explaining the Waller story. Oh, I want to retire and I want to play for the Dolphins. Sure, he said that. Yeah, sure. And then they threw out a comment on seven. Well, he's going to get paid what John was getting paid. I don't believe that. I'm pretty sure he's going to get paid a minimum with a bunch of incentives that he can make more money.
Yeah.
Do we know what the contract particulars are of Waller yet?
I haven't seen myself. I do know what I had originally. I'd have to go back to make sure, but it was the 5 million up to 5 million, which is that's the max with all the incentives. If he has everything that's in that contract, if he hits it all, then that's what that number is. That's the number that the agents send out when the deal is done. So I would imagine it's like you're saying, it's close, very close, or is the minimum, and then it's you hit all these incentives, you hit some of them that you just start to rack up a little bit more. I've been on the road, so I haven't followed up on what it was, but just from the original reporting last week, I did have that up to 5 million, which Jonnu Smith was making for something. So, if Darren Waller hits everything, he'll get there, but not. But I'm sure it's closer to minimum on base stuff.
Are you expecting anything else now outside of the corner?
Corner is the main thing I'm looking at. They can always surprise you with some move, maybe an extra lineman. Sometimes these moves happen once training camp starts and a particular weakness is revealed. So I think outside of needing that veteran free agent cornerback, then you might go into training camp with the roster you have, and then maybe some positional weaknesses become exposed, and then at that point, you know that you still need to add something somewhere, or someone is just released because they're having such a bad camp that you let them go and then you find a replacement at that position. Those kind of things maybe once camp starts, but at least on my radar, it would just be the cornerback before camp.
All right. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. Make sure you catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, enjoy New York, my brother. We will catch up later on in the week.
Yes, sir. I'll be back in Miami by then.
You
Yeah.
got it. There you go. David Furones, Welt Rheaume. We are in hurricane season, folks, and there is nobody better. A lot of our listeners actually on the West Coast. Unfortunately, really, I never want you to call Welt Rheaume. Okay, I really don't. Because then you're dealing with bankruptcy or property damage or condo damage or personal injury, and so I don't want that to ever happen to you, but unfortunately, we all end up dealing with it at one point or another. You know what I mean? And we even had to call Welt Rheaume, and we saw them crush Progressive. So if any of this ever happens to you, and we are in storm season, not just hurricane season, but storm season, 954-966-4646. Never, ever, ever call the insurance company. Ever. You call Welt Rheaume, they send over their adjusters, and then they handle the insurance company and all the headaches for you. You never have to deal with the headaches. And by the way, it'll get done a hell of a lot faster when Welt Rheaume call. When you and I call, they're laughing on the other side. They're holding it. Ha ha! We got another one because we're dumb. I don't know all the laws and the loopholes. Neither do you. And they'll take advantage of us. Jeff and Dan, they're going to crush them. 954-966-4646.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.